The ocean is the most vast and dangerous stage in the world, a territory where laws often dissolve and where courage can quickly become a death sentence. Imagine the scene. It is a pitch-black night in April of the year 2010. Off the coast of Somalia, on one of the most closely watched and tense shipping routes on the planet, a small pirate skiff loaded with armed men with automatic rifles and dreams of $1 million ransom spots a massive silhouette on the horizon. In their desperation and ambition, they commit the most catastrophic mistake of their lives. They believe they have found easy prey, a merchant vessel loaded with cargo that will make them rich. What they do not know, what they cannot see through the darkness, is that they are aiming their weapons at the USS Nicholas, a guided missile frigate of the United States Navy. This is not the story of a simple foiled robbery. It is the chronicle of a collision of realities where artisanal piracy crashed head-on into the most sophisticated war machine in history, unleashing a response that no one on that small boat expected and that left an indelible lesson in the waters of the Indian Ocean. Leave your like, subscribe, and share. Let's begin. Piracy off the coast of Somalia is not a new phenomenon, but in the first decade of the 21st century, it reached levels of global crisis. The Strait of Bab el-Mandeb and the Somali Basin became a graveyard of captured vessels and a battlefield for international forces trying to protect the flow of oil and world trade. Somali pirates had perfected a rapid attack tactic: approach in small, fast boats, intimidate the crew with bursts of AK-47 fire, and throw ladders to board the ship before anyone could react. For years, this formula worked against unarmed civilian vessels. However, the luck of these criminals ran out completely. By confusing the USS Nicholas with a cargo ship, they initiated an attack that would seal their fate within seconds, demonstrating that in the geopolitics of the seas, the error of target identification is the first step toward annihilation or total capture. When the pirates opened fire on the USS Nicholas, the response of the American crew was instantaneous, coordinated, and absolutely overwhelming. There were no doubts or hesitations. The sailors on board the frigate, trained to combat saturation threats and missile attacks, activated their point defense protocols. The thunder of the pirates' automatic weapons was quickly silenced by the controlled firepower of one of the most powerful navies in the world. The attackers, who expected to see panic and a swift surrender, suddenly found themselves under a rain of lead and tracer rounds that lit up the night as if it were broad daylight. In that instant, reality struck the pirates with the same force as the bullets. They had not attacked a cargo ship. They had attacked a predator of the seas designed specifically for war. Panic switched sides in the blink of an eye, and the attempted boarding transformed into a desperate flight to survive. What happened next was what truly no one expected, especially the pirates who believed they could simply disappear into the vastness of the ocean once the attack had failed. Rather than simply repelling the aggression and continuing on its way, the commanding officer of the USS Nicholas ordered a full pursuit. The frigate, equipped with powerful engines and infrared tracking systems, was not going to allow this threat to go unpunished. But the real ace up its sleeve was the frigate's embarked helicopter. While the pirates attempted to speed away in their skiff, the rhythmic sound of helicopter blades began to thunder overhead. From the air, thermal sensors locked onto the position of the fugitives with surgical precision, making any attempt at concealment utterly futile. The technology of the United States Navy transformed the ocean, which the pirates considered their refuge, into a transparent trap from which there was no possible escape. The pursuit did not last long. The pirate skiff, designed for speed but not for outrunning a combat helicopter and a warship, was quickly intercepted. The pirates, finding themselves surrounded by a force that surpassed them in every conceivable technical and tactical aspect, threw their weapons into the sea in a belated attempt to deny their criminal nature. However, the evidence was already recorded in the Navy's video systems and embedded in the hull of the frigate they had attempted to perforate. The crew of the USS Nicholas proceeded to carry out a tactical boarding, capturing all 5 pirates alive. This outcome surprised many international observers. Rather than total destruction, the Navy opted for a meticulous capture, securing the suspects and confiscating their mothership and equipment, transferring them on board to be processed under international law. This incident underscores a fundamental geopolitical reality. Military superiority is not just about who has the biggest weapon, but about who has the best training and the most flexible response capability. Somali pirates operate under the premise of asymmetry, using low cost and high risk to obtain gains. But when that asymmetry faces a professional force prepared for both conventional and unconventional warfare scenarios, the pirates' advantage disappears entirely. The USS Nicholas did not only defend its integrity, it sent an unequivocal message to all piracy networks in the region. The rules of the game had changed. The United States Navy was not there merely to patrol, but to act proactively against any threat that endangered freedom of navigation in international waters. Leave your like, subscribe, and share. The capture of these pirates was not the end of the story, but the beginning of a legal process that tested international cooperation in the fight against organized crime at sea. The detainees were ultimately brought to the United States to face trial for piracy, a charge that carries severe sentences of life imprisonment. This is crucial because it demonstrates that the military response is only one part of the equation. The other part is the capacity of the international system to impose lasting legal consequences. The attack on the USS Nicholas became a case study in how a global power can project its law and order far beyond its terrestrial borders, using its naval assets as mobile extensions of its sovereignty and its commitment to global maritime security. It is important to analyze why the pirates committed a mistake of such magnitude. Fatigue, lack of adequate night vision equipment, and economic desperation tend to cloud the judgment of these attackers. For a pirate who has spent days at sea with limited supplies, any light on the horizon seems like an opportunity. This lack of situational awareness is precisely what modern naval forces exploit. The Navy uses stealth and signature management to conceal the true identity of its vessels when necessary, creating tactical traps for those seeking easy victims. The USS Nicholas, with its frigate profile, is not as enormous as an aircraft carrier, which makes it appear, at long distance and in conditions of low visibility, a viable target to the untrained eye. Furthermore, the success of the USS Nicholas operation reinforced the importance of the constant presence of NATO and multinational coalitions, such as Combined Task Force 151. The geopolitics of Somalia is a puzzle of failed states, local militias, and external interests. By securing maritime routes, the United States and its allies not only protect trade, but limit the financing capacity of extremist groups that are often linked to piracy networks. Every skiff captured and every pirate prosecuted is a blow to the underground economy that fuels instability in the Horn of Africa. Therefore, what happened that night was an act of self-defense that had direct repercussions on the national security of multiple nations. The Navy's ability to shift from a defensive posture to an offensive one, and then to a police detention posture within minutes, is a testament to the versatility of its crews. A sailor aboard the USS Nicholas must be prepared to fire a 76mm cannon, but also to physically search a prisoner while following human rights and detention protocols. This duality is what makes the Navy such an effective geopolitical tool. It is not just a hammer that crushes everything it sees, but a scalpel that can excise a specific threat without causing a larger regional fire. The professionalism displayed in this incident is what differentiates a global power from a mere shock force. Looking ahead, the attack on the USS Nicholas remains relevant as new forms of piracy and maritime sabotage emerge in other locations, such as the Gulf of Guinea or the Strait of Malacca. The lessons learned about the importance of target identification, immediate aerial pursuit, and international legal coordination are pillars of current naval doctrine. Drone technology and artificial intelligence are beginning to play a role in the early detection of these pirate mistakes. But at the end of the day, the decision to act and the execution of the capture still depend on political will and the courage of the sailors who are on the front line. In conclusion, what happened after the attack on the USS Nicholas was a show of force that no one expected because it shattered the narrative of pirate impunity. It was not just an exchange of gunfire. It was a surgical operation that ended with criminals in a cell thousands of kilometers from their bases, demonstrating that the arm of justice and the naval power of the United States is extremely long. Piracy may be an ancient problem, but the response of the USS Nicholas was a 21st century solution. Fast, technological, and legally conclusive. The next time someone thinks they can challenge a warship in the darkness of night, they only need to remember the story of the Nicholas to understand that there are mistakes from which there is no return, and that the ocean keeps no secrets for those who have the eyes of a superpower watching over them. The story of the USS Nicholas reminds us that the security of the seas is the foundation of our modern civilization. Without safe routes, trade stops, factories grind to a halt, and the cost of living skyrockets. That is why incidents that seem minor on the scale of a world war are in reality critical battles for the stability of the global system. The Somali pirates who attacked that frigate did not only commit a tactical error, they challenged the international order that keeps the world connected. The Navy's response was confirmation that that order will be defended, no matter how small the threat or how dark the night in which it chooses to attack. Finally, this event highlights the importance of investment in defense and in maintaining a naval fleet capable of operating independently in any corner of the globe. An old frigate commissioned in the 1980s was able to neutralize a modern threat thanks to its upkeep and the training of its men. This tells us that military power does not reside solely in the latest and greatest, but in the ability to use what one has with lethal efficiency and unbreakable discipline. The USS Nicholas has already been retired from service, but its legacy in the waters of Somalia remains as a reminder that at sea, the arrogance of pirates will always meet its end before the calm and power of those who truly rule the waves. Leave your like, subscribe, and share. Until next time.